suppose we better get into this now, Stephen. Time's ticking on here. There's some things we want to discuss. I want to do it. Sharpish. Well, hello and welcome in to this Saturday's whatever this is. It's not entertainment news, it's something else entirely. Stephen's away off to the side. One thing with me, you can guarantee I'll always be centred in the shot because I have OCD when it comes to things like that. Stephen, we're going to be discussing a couple of things. I'm John, by the way. You didn't see that name down there, John. My name's John. I'm your host for this evening, tonight. It's 11:15 p.m. here, so it's very much night time. To my left here is Stephen John McLaughlin. He's the co-host. And we're going to be discussing a number of interesting things, starting with not starting soon. And also GTA 6, Stephen. It was announced yesterday via a multitude of sources, but I think it was Rockstar Games on their official account on X, Twitter, social media, probably over all the platforms, announced that they were delaying the release of GTA 6, the much anticipated, probably the biggest video game that's going to be released in the next 5 decades or something, because it's been that long since we've waited for it.
Yeah.
It's getting delayed to the middle of 2026. I think they says June or something like that. I can't remember the exact words. I'd have to look at the article I've got in front of me. May 2026. Stephen, by all accounts, not a massive surprise to insiders. There was someone formerly of Rockstar breaking this news a good bit back, getting bullied and harassed on social media for floating it out there that this game was already getting delayed to the middle of 2026, that they were nowhere near deadlines, nowhere near ready enough to have it coming out later this year. And of course he's been vindicated, the guy, because the company have come out and shared it. What I'm going to skew this from, before we get into a more nuanced discussion, I'd imagine, is whether this is a positive thing or not. Because I remember discussing things like this with Taika Waititi back in the day about, I think it was For Love and Thunder. Oh, was it For Love and Thunder? That wasn't Taika Waititi, was it? I'm tripping that. Was it For Love and... Did he do it? He did do For Love and Thunder.
He did that in Ragnarok, yeah.
Yeah, well, he was saying round about pandemic time, I'm taking more time to write the script. We're delaying it. It's gave us a lot more freedom and we can perfect the process. And I says at the time, I remember it because I had nothing else going on in my life at that time, this could be an immensely, positive thing for filmmaking and filmmakers in general this period, because they're going to have more time to perfect their vision. Well, I was wrong. Because Love and Thunder was shit. It was terrible. I hated that film. God awful. And he had all the time in the world to perfect it. So whilst this could be perfect for Rockstar, this could offer them that little bit more time to release the perfect game. Like you said before we come on, Stephen, there's no real excuse for it. They've had so long now to get this game out in a playable standard, a high standard, full of innovation in terms of gameplay, visuals, story. There's no real excuse for this game getting delayed another, what is it now, a year down the road.
Yeah,
There's no excuse for it.
No. I think
so I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Stephen. I'm going to go to the topic bar now, which is massive.
Yeah, it's a disappointing thing, John, and it's more disappointing for myself on a personal level because I'm going to be 50 when this comes out, which is ridiculous. That's depressing enough, but still be getting it. I don't care if it's $70 or whatever it's going to cost, but it's disappointing on the level, John, because we were so excited when the trailer came out a year and a half ago, and they'd penned in that late 2025 release, like they've always done with GTA games, or most of the GTA games of recent years or recent decades, I should say, have came out around about September, October time. So it's disappointing on that level, and you always wonder, and because we don't have that sort of inside knowledge and we don't really know the ins and outs of how these things work, it's frustrating from a fan sort of perspective, and that's what we are. We're fans of the series, we're fans of Rockstar, and I think because the sort of roots as well, coming from Dundee. It's just up the road from us, and I think we're quite proud of the fact that something like this is sprouted from such a small nation, and I think the last release, GTA 5, has sold over 200 million copies or something like that worldwide. So it's one of the most anticipated games in gaming history, I would say. And it's disappointing. And the sort of message they put out in midweek about the announcement of the delay was, we're so proud of our fan base and we just want to give you the best product, so we're working hard to get it out there. It's going to take another year to do that. Come on, we've been waiting 13 years. And I know it sounds a bit entitled, but it's so disappointing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it's unnecessary, Stephen. Like I said, they've had so long now. By all accounts, I've got a couple of articles opened here for perhaps a rationale of why the game is taking this long, and the reported reason as to why it has been delayed for so long. And I understand what the guy's saying. I understand what the developers are saying to deliver the quality you deserve. Yeah, but you've had well over a decade now to storyboard this out, to have an idea of where it's going to be set, the characters, what motivates the characters, what new mechanics. There's been so many games come out, brilliant video games, Baldur's Gate, off the top of my head, there's Elden Ring games. There's been so many brilliant games in different genres come out in that time period where you can get some inspiration from, and just the sheer inspiration within Rockstar as a game developer as well. They've always been innovators. There is no excuses for you not to be able to produce a brilliant GTA game by 2025. I mean, we're talking, we're knocking on the door of the next generation of consoles now, which will essentially be more accessible PCs. They're going to basically have all the framework of a PC. That's what we're talking about. That's not that long down the road.
It's not, John,
and the sort of cynical
like
person would suggest, much like the 360 release with GTA 5, they deliberately left it until the end of the cycle to get money and then re-release the same fucking game on a new console and then re-release it again.
They can't use that as an excuse that they're holding it back for the next generation console games, because as you and I know from first-hand experience, when GTA 5 came out, both you and I had Xbox 360. It was the latter days of our usage of that console. I think maybe about a month before the Xbox One came out. So we had the GTA 5 version of the 360 version of GTA 5 for about a month, and then we went over to Xbox One. This was before, obviously, you could do the playback thing. And we got the copy of the Xbox One version. There was nothing different about it. Nothing at all. There was not. I don't even think the graphics were even better on the Xbox One. It just looked like a straight, version of the Xbox 360 right over to the Xbox One. So there was no enhancement or anything like that. So I don't buy into the whole next generation consoles, and these are the technology that's going to support this game. I don't think that's good enough either.
No, because they're just getting into their stride, Stephen.
You're expecting a lot of people, millions of people, to then fork out for the next generation console just to play this game.
No, I don't think that is the rationale, but if you're cynical, you could say, look, we're getting near the end of the current cycle. I don't know if that's the case. I think looking at the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, certainly, you're just getting into your stride in terms of the developers being able to harness the power of those consoles, and I don't think we're anywhere near the end of the line with them. I mean, the games are... That's a whole other conversation, really, about the jumping fidelity of games, and my dog's murdering my Stratocaster. Christ almighty. I heard a ping there. That sounded ominous. I don't think there's the kind of jumps in quality like what I experienced as a kid, growing up in the 90s, where you had the Nintendo 64 coming from an Amiga or a Super Nintendo into a Dreamcast, into a PS1, into a 2. The jumps and fidelity and visuals and gameplay mechanics and whatnot was massive. Unbelievable, to the point where you'd watch a cinematic at the start of a PS1 game and think, I wish it looked like that. And 5 years later, it did look like that. Now we're not getting those kind of jumps. So I don't think that's an issue in terms of the power of these consoles. I think they'll quite comfortably be able to play these games.
Is there going to be a VR sort of function on this game?
Not sure.
Perhaps maybe that's part of it. Maybe there is going to be a VR, compatibility thing that you can, if you've got a VR headset, you can.
I can hope not, Stephen, because I tell you why. First of all, I sold mine because I wasn't using it. Second of all, Microsoft notorious for being really stringent and deliberately obtuse with accessories, where they just wanted to basically want to release their own accessory, much like Apple, and make it as much of a ball ache as possible for you to use a third-party accessory. As I've discovered with the controllers and headsets, I mean, fuck me, I've got a Logitech G Pro wireless. I've got a SteelSeries Arctic, whatever the hell it is, Nova headset. I have to plug the old headset in using a cable into the controller just to hear. They just make it so difficult, so I hope not, because knowing Microsoft will be wanting to gouge you for another £500 or dollars for a VR headset just to work with the Xbox. I don't know what Sony's like. I can't imagine they're any better.
Yeah.
So I hope not. But then part of me hopes it would, because that'd be cool to implement VR into a game
It
like
would
that.
kind of, John. I think from that sort of perspective, the sort of first-person perspective, it would be quite interesting. But I think part of GTA's charm has always been the sort of third-party view? I don't know what you call that view.
Yeah.
It's actually seeing your own character come to harm. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's something comical about it, and you'd miss all that if you were doing it through the VR, I suppose.
Yeah, it's aesthetics as well, Steve, of the character. I mean, that's a big part of what I enjoy about playing these games. The customisation options. It's why I love Dead by Daylight as well. And I gravitate to Survivor. One, because I'm a troll and I love terrorising people. But two, because it's third party. And you've got all these cool cosmetics you can buy, or use in-game currency to get. I've spent way too much money on that, but that's a whole other story. But I like to be able to see the customisation and what you're wearing and whatnot, and just be outlandish and stand out. Some people like to fit in and not stand out. I go for the brightest outfits in the game to be like a beacon. Come and get me, bitch. So that's what I like. That was almost like Vice City dancing there, wasn't it? In the Malibu club back in the day. That was like Andor doing all this shit. What the fuck was that about? That's a whole other thing. But no, I mean, it would be cool, Stephen, but I think that's always going to be a gimmick in terms of VR until we get to the point where it's indecipherable from reality. It's just going to be a gimmick, man, because I know I bought one to do sim racing and I used it about 4 times and then went back to just using the actual 32-inch monitor I've got. Because I'm like,
3D glasses, isn't it? When you go to the cinema,
sweaty.
The 3D glasses thing was it's a novelty, for specific films that you want to see in the cinema. And after a while, the novelty wears off, and you're just like, I can't be bothered with that. I just want to watch.
Oh Jesus! Don't even talk about that, Stephen. Avatar. I thought I was going blind coming out of the theatre because I had it on for 3+ hours. I couldn't read signs inside. I'm like, what's going on here? Have I lost my sight over the last 3 hours? I certainly lost my mind watching that film at times, and not all positive. Here's another example of why, Stephen, I like customisation. Now, this is obviously someone who's mocked it up. It's your 2 main characters, but I'm just looking at that right there, and you can clearly see that's like Adidas trainers, Adidas, like Vans. I want to see, this is something I want to see implemented in this game moving forward, and there's a couple of things I'm going to touch on in terms of GTA 6 and where they could go, because we do this every time we speak about it.
Yeah.
Actual brands in the game. I remember playing, I think it was Skate back in the day, an EA game, and you had like Sambas, and you had actual clothing brands. You could do marketing deals with Adidas or Adidas, whatever you want to call it, Nike, Reebok, all these other brands, fucking Burberry, Balenciaga. I wouldn't do Balenciaga personally, because that's a dodgy brand that's got some nefarious shit going on underneath. But there's so much opportunity there, and then you've got real life, even car manufacturers. Imagine having a Mini or a BMW or all these real life cars in the actual game. There's so much opportunity. Just looking at that wallpaper for the thumbnail.
There is something that I like about GTA and its own sort of in-world brands.
Yeah.
I think the mini's called a weenie or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then you've got the pisswasser in terms of the lager
Budweiser,
and all the other things. The bleeder burger, that kind of thing. I don't mind that. I don't mind because I don't know. It's almost like Tarantino and his sort of own brands within his own cinematic world, and it's the same with GTA. But there's nothing to stop them doing that. And as you say, even having a GTA shop, and even people would probably purchase. I mean, Microsoft have been doing it for years with the Xbox avatars.
Yeah.
Roblox have been doing it as well. I know that's more of a what do you call that? Anyone can get in, and it's like Chat GPT. What do you call that? Open AI.
Source.
Open source, yeah. And Roblox is like that to an extent where you can get in if you want. Your character can jump about in an Arsenal shirt or whatever you want to be, or a Celtic shirt.
Yeah.
It could be anything you want, and that availability is there. But they could do it on a professional level with GTA. They certainly could, and it makes a difference to. It's a big thing for people as well to personalise their own character. Yeah. And it sounds silly, but there's something about having your own identity within that world, and you've had elements of it, and some of the clothing that they've had, and some of the brands and equipment and stuff like that have been fine in GTA 5 and previous versions and stuff like that, but there's never been brands or anything like that, and I think it'd be a good opportunity. I suppose in a way that it's their integrity and what they've built in the past, for the GTA series and all the in-world brands and stuff like that, but it's a good opportunity, and I think a lot of people would buy into that as well.
Oh, Stephen, I love the customisation of sort of outfits. It's something I spend way too much time, and it's like I says on Dead by Daylight, doing that shit. Crazy amounts of time, just putting different, swapping things out. This head goes with that. Just crazy. So I'm definitely the core demographic for that shit. If you were to introduce brands in, and who doesn't love a pair of Stan Smiths or Gazelles? Get that on the character. Stephen, just looking at this.
About the detail, though. You've always been about the detail, whether it be in Football Manager or any of the football games where you design the stadium or the strip. You've always been a stickler for getting that right.
I think it's OCD, Stephen. I think that's what it is.
It adds to the experience, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Yeah, just if you're living in this sort of, not living, but if you're playing a game in this real life environment, it's so close. I mean, we've seen the comparisons to real roads in and about, what is it, Miami it's set in? I can't remember the exact city. And it's nearly 1-to-1. There's obviously some scaling issues because they can't do it perfectly to scale, or it would be insanity. Take you forever to get to places. But if you've got that level of detail, it just makes sense to add in brands and stuff like that. And again, that's a source of income for Rockstar. I've no doubt in my mind that brands like Adidas and all these other brands that are renowned throughout the world would want to be associated with a game like this. This game is money when it finally drops. I know everyone's disappointed that it's been delayed, including me, for another year at this point. But when it does come out, the anticipation is going to be off the fucking charts. The money this game will make will be well into the billions. You would have to be mentally something. I'm not going to say the word. It's a non-McDonald word, and he can get away with it when he was alive. I can't. To not want to be associated with that. That's just brand exposure, marketing. Not for free, but I mean, you'd make the money back tenfold. Just seeing your brand. We've seen this before. Football shirts being released, new shirts being released on EAFC or FIFA back in the day. But Stephen, looking at these characters, another thing I don't know if we've discussed this in depth, just the fact you have got a female character as a lead. I mean, that's something that I'm definitely looking forward to seeing in terms of the storyline.
It was something that used to bother me, and we spoke about this, and I used to, when we were playing GTA 4 and 5, I used to say, why is it every female in this game, in this world, run away from trouble and they're panicking and they're acting like cowards, basically. Yep. And then the other flip side is the other ones are hookers. That's it. I'm like, where's the realism in this? You know what I mean? So it's good to see that there is a female at the forefront. And I don't know if you can pick either character. I'm not really sure. Or you flip between them?
I think you would, yeah.
Or like they did in GTA 5, where you had the three main characters. I think that would be a great thing, and I think it's going to be a good thing as well. But it's a good positive thing they've done with this version is to introduce a female lead. It's about
It's
time.
not just that, Stephen. I mean, I don't know about you. I know I've got a deranged, bald, long-haired freak that kind of looks like me in Red Dead online, but I'm more drawn to playing with a female character anyway, because I'm not into sausage parties and stuff like that. No offence to people that are, but I'd much rather just be looking at a good-looking female character if I'm playing a game or whatnot than looking at a male character. It's not the way I float. So, I mean, it's nice. It's a nice change.
Yeah,
it's a nice change. Stephen, in terms of the rationale, I mean, this is what this guy said. I don't actually know who this guy is. I think it's Schreier. What's his full name? Jason Schreier. Ever reliable, apparently. So, the bold Jason has said this: nobody I've talked to at Rockstar has believed fall 2025, that's autumn for us, was a real window for a very long time now. Too much work, not enough time. See, that blows my mind again. Too much work, not enough time. What have you been fucking doing? It's like Chief Wiggum, just sitting rattling donuts for the last 10 years. How much fucking time do you need? Jesus Christ. If they all get ADHD, just sitting unable to formulate like a coherent thought for more than 20 seconds, how much time do you need? And what appears to be a real desire from management to avoid brutal crunch. GTA 6 slipping to 2026 has seemed inevitable for months, if not longer. By all accounts, it was a well-known secret in Rockstar. They'd openly resigned themselves to a 2026 release.
You know that thing we were talking about the other night on the entertainment show about in 2 weeks' time. It's this. I don't know. I can't remember what Well, I think this is forced their hand because most people will know about that would have been their last sort of window of opportunity to promote whether or not it's going to be a trailer or whatever it may be. And after that date, that's when people would have been starting to attack Rockstar and everyone involved. So I think they've decided, they've seen the sort of, we talked about it, and we're not going to be the only ones that were talking about it. It's millions of people have been talking about this. Certainly on YouTube, a lot of people have been talking about this. Is there going to be a trailer coming in the next 2 weeks? And we knew that, we said it on record that we don't believe this was going to happen, and it was proved right. But I think that event in 2 weeks' time has forced their hand. I think they've felt the vibes. They've went. I think people are starting to put the pieces together here. We better make an announcement, because I don't think it's a coincidence. This news was at the start of the week, the big talking point. When's the trailer coming out? And then a few days later, this announcement comes out. I think they know. They've known for months, as you said, John. But I think they've came to the sort of point where they know that they have to address it.
See, the thing is, if they'd just been up front with people and told them from the get-go, look, this game, we're really pushed. We're trying our best to deliver a completed game, unlike the likes of Cyberpunk in the past, where it was a car crash when you released it. People were going off their heads, spending full retail on a game that was incomplete or buggy and wouldn't play on high sort of spec PCs and whatnot. If they just came out and been up front and said from the get-go, look, 2026 is more realistic, people would have got behind it, because they're just wanting some sort of confirmation.
I think they shat their pants, John, with the trailer coming out, because it was leaked. That forced their hand, because I don't think that trailer that did come out would have come out at all if it wasn't leaked. That would have been the main trailer probably this year, at the end of this year, to promote it for May. Because as you said, they've known this for a very long time, and people can hark back to the trailer and go, but you said it was, it was coming out.
One positive I'll say though about that, Stephen, we know how good they are at innovating and building upon trailers and over-delivering, because I remember the likes of GTA 5, the trailer, and the game over-delivered. So how far on are they in development and polishing things up just on what we've seen in the trailer? I mean, it's going to be much, much better, much more polished looking. I'm willing to give a company like Rockstar the benefit of the doubt, because I know they're such a great developer. I know they've taken the piss with some of the stuff they've done with GTA Online, but you could skew that the other way and say, look, they're supporting the game and giving people something fresh to do.
I think what they did with Red Dead Redemption 2 has got a lot to do with it. You mentioned this. This was something I didn't really notice till you highlighted it to me when we first got Red Dead Redemption 2 was the in-world activity from computer players, not online players. Was something that was missing from GA. Maybe the technology wasn't there at the time. But there's been instances where I think in GTA in the past where you follow a computer character, chase a character down a lane or whatever, and they get too far ahead and turn the corner, and when you got round the corner, they were not there, they vanished.
Yeah.
It just didn't exist. Whereas in Red Dead Redemption 2, I remember a few months ago, I think it was somebody witnessed me doing something that I shouldn't have been doing, and they were running away, and I managed to catch up with them, and I think I got a few shots in, but they got away and disappeared. But they were like, you know, that sort of little red warning you get when players are after you.
Snitches.
Players are after you. And about it, they ran away. I couldn't catch them, so I went down to one of the wee sort of harbours. That one where you always chaos. I can't remember what it's called. The one down at the water.
Oh God, what is it called again? It's like a Dutch type thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and the fucker came back 5 minutes later, raging. I went, that's incredible. You know, that computer player has been running about, you know, while I've just been on with my business, and they've remembered me to come back and get me. You know, and I was like, that's something I didn't see in GTA, and this is the thing that I'm really excited about. The graphics and everything is going to be fantastic. I know it is, and we've seen it from those screenshots, but it's the in-game ability for computer players to live lives, you know, and live their lives out and react and stuff like that. And that's what I'm really looking forward to, is the interaction.
Well, that's something.
Because I think that's perhaps maybe one of the big things. Maybe it's one of the big delays, the reasons for the delays as well.
I think so, Steve. I think innovation online and offline will be in the forefront of their minds. They'll want to make sure it's the best possible sort of experience on both sides of things, because they're one of the few developers that have not transitioned wholly over to online only and completely forgotten about single player. I know there's still great companies out there like Activision to an extent with Assassin's Creed. They've overdone it with the releases, but they still want to produce great single player experiences. Baldur's Gate, like I said, who's the other ones I'm blanking on the name of? Terrible. Not Blizzard. Terrible, I can't remember. The ones that do Oblivion and Skyrim and stuff like that and Fallout. Can't fucking remember their name for some reason. I'm drinking cider. I mean, it's only one can. It's not an excuse, but still, it's went to my head. There's still companies out there that produce great single player content, but in the main, most have seen the dollar or the pound signs and made the move over to mainly online gaming and obviously in-game transactions, gambling if you'd like for younger generations, kids and whatnot, which is fucking illegal, but they do it. So, I mean, you've got to respect the fact that they will want to innovate for both. They'll want to give a great, authentic offline experience as well as an online experience. But Stephen, what you were talking about there, I actually had an article up discussing that. And it's this person's opinion piece, but they're absolutely right. Grant Taylor Hill, incidentally, of Insider Gaming. He says two mechanics that from Red Dead that they absolutely have to include in GTA 6, and it's the reputation system in GTA. You could commit crimes, you could go off and become the Jack the Ripper or fucking Ted Bundy, and then 2 minutes later, clear your reputation, get away from the police, and you're back being this sort of normal person in society who everyone doesn't shit their pants looking at or run away from. That wasn't the case in Red Dead. Online as well. If you're a psychopath like we are, and I certainly am, going about murdering people left, right and centre, which is basically my thing I do, clearing out fucking towns and killing pigs and all sorts, it sticks with you. And you have these bounty hunters coming after you. And certainly online as well, there's implications for the story and the ending. If you're a good guy or a bad guy or some sort of tweener. So that's something that should be introduced, and they should be looking to expand online, offline, some sort of reputation system where it has a ramification for the story and how it plays out, and that gives replayability as well, because you can be an absolute shithead and then you can be like the second coming of Mother Teresa, and you get different endings depending on what actions you carry out. And then obviously the other one, like you touched on, is world evolution.
Yeah.
Maybe online as well as offline. One thing I hated about GTA 5 was that incomplete fucking skyscraper in the middle of a city. It just never get finished. It's like The Simpsons. Bart never grows up. He's perpetually fucking 10 years old for like 40 years. And I understand it would kill the show if you made him grow up, but still, there's no evolution. And it just gets repetitive. Certainly in Red Dead. What's that?
Peppa Pig's evolved. There's a new sibling.
Oh, has she?
So, yeah.
Oh, there you go. I mean, evolution's required, Stephen. You need to evolve and give the audience something new, albeit the audience for Peppa the Pig should be like 2 to 4 year olds, and after that, there shouldn't really be. I mean, I'm slightly concerned that there's adults watching Peppa Pig and demanding evolution and siblings. It's fucking terrifying. I suppose if you have multiple kids and then you're following it, and you kind of get to live the evolution, but no, it's something that's important, man. I think they do have to add that element from Red Dead, certainly offline, where the world evolves and things get built and people are eating food and things are changing. It just gives you this sort of authenticity that you're living in a tangible place, so you're actually experiencing something that feels real. So this is all things I think that take an immense amount of coding and time and innovation, and it's probably a multitude of these reasons why they are pushing it back, because they don't want to half-arse it. They don't want to release an incomplete version of the game. So I respect the decision, and in the end it could be a positive, but likewise I'm going to caveat it by saying they're taking the absolute piss, because it's well over a year, I wish, well over a decade now since they released the last one, so they really should be getting their fingers out their asses and getting some game, some sort of game.
John. I was in my 30s the last one, and I'm going to be in my 50s for the next one.
I don't know how old I was. 2011, was it?
2012.
2012, 23 I would have been. 23 years of age.
Was it? It was around 2013 it was.
I was 24 then.
Yeah.
And now I'm 36, and I'll be 37. That's not bad. It's not too bad.
Not bad, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not complaining with that. It's fine. I'm still young.
I'm still playing it.
Yeah, I'll be playing as Stephen. I says last week, I'll be playing games until I'm dead and buried. I will never stop, ever, ever, ever. I'll be playing games in the coffin. If Elon Musk gets his way and you've got Neuralink, I'll be a corpse and I'll still be playing and taking the absolute piss out of people. I hope. But
Dead by Daylight.
Dead by Daylight, yes. Well, they need to, that's a whole other thing. You have to update the visuals and the mechanics in Dead by Daylight. I love the game, man, I really do, but fucking hell, it's stiff. And I know it's like text and there's like stuff in there and it becomes like a meme of itself. There's just things you do that are just stupid and unique to Dead by Daylight. But my God, man, put some new animations in there. Do something different with the survivors, man. Give it a lick of paint. They've updated characters, certain survivors, but just in certain maps as well. But just they need to do and freshen it up a bit. All that money they're raking in, the bastards, and they won't update it. But Stephen, I've got another topic I'm going to discuss, so we're going to move merrily on here. Probably not get time to do one of the aspects of the topic I was going to do, because we'd be here till fucking 2 in the morning. But the topic we're going to move on to is scientists, or scientific data, I should say, has proven that there is a perfect pop, well, that they've proven the most perfect Beatles pop song that exists. And I'm going to give you a couple of opportunities to try and guess which song you think it is. More importantly, do you think it's a Paul McCartney song or a John Lennon song? Bearing in mind it's pop.
It kind of points to Paul, doesn't it? But
It's
in
pop.
my opinion, and you asked me this, and everybody's asked me this over the years, John, in terms of what's your favourite Beatles song, and I can never answer it. But I've always had 2 in my top 5, and 2 of them have always been I Feel Fine and Ticket to Ride in terms of pop song.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's either of the 2 of them. I think it's probably, I'm going to just guess here, it's a Paul one, isn't it?
It's a Paul one, yeah.
Right, I'll guess it's probably, it better not be Yesterday.
No, that's not even a pop song, let's be honest. That's some sort of, I don't know, crooner, soppy shit. I mean, I love Yesterday, but it's not a pop. I'll give you a hint, Stephen. They're saying the key elements of a great pop song is catchiness.
All My Loving?
What's that?
All My Loving?
No. I'll tell you right now, it's Obla Di Obla Da. Which is ironic, because one of the most hated Beatles songs in terms of the recording process. They hated it. Every other Beatle other than Paul hated this song. This is the infamous song where John was stoned, came out the control room in Studio 2 and came down the stairs and proclaimed, "I'm fucking high. This is how you do or end this or start this song." Battered the piano, and Paul's like, "That's absolute genius." To be fair, Stephen, I'm not a Beatle. I wish I was. And I actually fucking love Obladi Oblada. It's one of my favourite Beatles songs, and certainly getting to hear Paul playing it live was a brilliant experience. The bass, the melody. I like the song, man. I don't know if it's a perfect pop song, but apparently scientifically it's got the right chord changes, unexpectedness, just freshness in there, and melody that makes it the perfect Beatles pop song. I don't know what the fuck that means, but yeah.
Yeah, that's... I've got to disagree with that. It's a good song, but I don't think it's a perfect pop song. I don't think it is.
I mean, that's subjective, because there's so many pop songs out even now that are pretty good.
Into people's tastes, and it doesn't matter what you're putting that through, if it's an algorithm or whatever. No, I don't buy that. I think certainly Paul McCartney said better pop songs than Obladi Oblada, never mind the Beatles.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I like it. I do. It's one of the ones that when it comes on, I don't fast forward it or anything or skip it. I just let it run it, because it's quite an upbeat.
It's that little melody, isn't it?
Tempo as well. It's a good tempo. You know, and it's, and I love the intro. You know, as much as John Lennon would have hated the song, he surely should be proud of that intro, because it's one of the best intros you'll get.
How long is it, do you know? I'm going to search that up just now. Obladi Oblada, and try and get the length of this, the actual run time. Because if it's circa like 3 minutes, then, I mean, it's 3 minutes 7. I mean, that's the length for a pop song. Any longer than that, you're overstaying your welcome, and it's something I loved about the Beatles mid to beginning.
I think somewhere in the lyrics, Paul makes a mistake of mixing his she and he's over, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But I suppose that makes it, adds to its charm, I suppose. And they didn't re-record it. Paul probably wanted to re-record that line, but the rest were like, fuck off, you know.
But that's something you wouldn't get in a modern day song, Stephen, where they're just clinical and anal about everything being perfect, everything being ironed out. That's why I disagree when John said back in the day that he wanted to go back and re-record all the stuff, because he was never happy with it. I can just imagine George Martin at that time saying, "But John, you told me to make it sound like a fucking pear or something. I mean, what did you expect from me?"
I think John was just at that sort of stage in his life that he wasn't happy with anything. And even his own work he wasn't happy with, you know. No, I think everything in terms of the way it played out, I don't think I've changed much. John, funnily enough, I'm just reading that quote there about Paul's granny shit, and he said something similar about the album Ram. I've been listening to Ram quite a lot recently, and I mean, there is some sort of cheddar in there. There is, you can't get away from it. You know, and Paul's probably the perfect person, you know, to produce cheddar at times, but there's some really good tracks in there and put together arrangements as well. And Linda, some of the backing singing from Linda was really good.
That must have ate away, John, that Linda could kind of hit a note and not have it sound like a banshee shrieking when he was saddled with Yoko and her singing. And look, Yoko's great in her own right, a sort of avant-garde artist, brilliant financially and whatnot. But as a singer,
classically trained as well. But in terms of singing, no. She couldn't hold a tune. But she could play the piano. But
a Chuck Berry clip.
But no, I mean, it's a good album. I just think sometimes John could be very cutting.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was intentional, if it was just his nature, but you know, I mean, I think Ram. Before I really dedicated any time to it, I was put off with it, because I think initially it did get a lot of bad press when its initial release was in the early 70s, and it get a lot of bad reviews. But I think, like a lot of things, you could probably, the same with the Star Wars prequels, you know, as time goes on, you learn to appreciate the art. And I think in terms of a lot of Paul's early stuff, I liked McCartney. I thought it was a great album.
Yeah.
And a lot of good songs. You could see it was the overspill of the Let It Be stuff. That sort of frame of mind he was in.
Abbey Road as
But,
well. I mean, there's a maybe I'm amazed is almost like you never give me your money and that sort of medley in the second half. The guitar, you can tell it's Macca was doing guitar work on that Abbey Road sort of medley because the tone and the casino, it just perfectly matches. It's like a continuation of Abbey Road.
If you listen to them long enough, you know exactly who's playing what.
Yeah.
And I thought Ram was a great album. I don't think it's as good as Imagine. I imagine, if they're going head to head, John versus Paul, which I don't like doing. But I think Imagine's a better album. But Ram's certainly up there. I don't care what anybody says. Can call it granny music all they want. It's really good.
That's
really
just
good.
John though being
really good.
Being hurtful, which he was definitely capable of back in the day. He was quite.
Fun enough as well. It's the only album Paul and Linda did together.
That's mental.
After that, it was Wings. I know she was part of Wings, but as a couple,
yeah.
It was a great. I thought it was a great album.
It was, yeah. Stephen, he's consistently released brilliant songs throughout his entire career, even right up until recently. They're different to what we expected from Paul back in the day, but he continues to be a brilliant singer-songwriter, melodist, and I championed this sort of use of AI, mostly for his 70s kind of voice, not even the 60s Beatles voice, but mid to late 70s Paul. And that distinct vocal he had, I don't know if it was a marijuana or whatever, I don't know what was causing it, but he's got this distinct vocal. If he could put that vocal on an older or a newer McCartney release, you can see the brilliance is still there, even though he's older now and the voice is fragile. Just combining his current writing and melody with the younger voice, he's still got it. The guy has definitely still got it.
It happens to them all, John. It's happened to Dylan as well. His voice isn't what it used to be, and some might say it's not been for the past 30 years. But yeah, I mean, it happens to the best of them, unfortunately. But you've shown me some AI de-aging of Paul's voice, going back to those early 70s period. With the modern songs.
Yeah, it's great.
It's fantastic, and I was kind of thinking they would have done that for now and then, but I'm kind of glad they didn't, because it kind of reflects the lyrics, the way you're getting John's young voice with Paul's old voice. It's all about now and then. So it's the past and the future and the present. So I'm glad they left it like that. But there is potential there to do that, and most people that use these AI tools have done it. Certainly with, I think it was one called New from Paul's album from 2012 called New.
Yeah.
And they included John in one of the verses as well, and it was fantastic. But they de-aged Paul's voice as well, and it was just great. Really good how they did it.
Now, listen, Stephen, I mean, it's something I know for a fact John, if he was still with us, would be right into. He loved technology, he'd have loved AI, and he'd have been incorporating that into songwriting, because I know he'd have still been making music if he was still here.
Incorporated into his voice, John, because
absolutely.
you know how self-conscious he was of his own voice, which was ridiculous because he had an incredible singing voice, but it was double-tracked by the 1970s. Everything was double-tracked, but even during the Beatles period, I think maybe mid-Beatles, that's when he started to double-track his voice, wasn't it?
Yeah, because you've got that classic.
His voice on the likes of Anna from the first
great.
album.
There's
my God, it's
raucousness about it. He's got a rawness to his voice, which is what differentiates him and Paul. Paul's this very clean, perfect kind of vocal range. He's got perhaps the greatest vocal range of all time. He can go really high, really low, but what he doesn't have, and he tried to get it in different songs, Oh Darling, and obviously Helter Skelter, but he doesn't really have that graveliness that John's vocal has. So he's just got this rock and roll, punchy in the throat voice. And he's got a great range as well. We hear that in the likes of, God, I'm trying to think of examples.
Happiness is a Warm Gun.
Happiness is a Warm Gun's the best example, where he goes really, really high and really, really low, and he showcases his vocal range. It's not he's got a terrible vocal range, but there's just a grittiness to Lennon's vocals that
some people
just
like
great.
that. Yeah.
Stephen, in terms of the pop song, I mean, if you were to maybe twist my arm, I would probably go with I Saw Her Standing There, or even I'm Looking Through You. They're pop songs that are every bit as short, punchy, chord changes galore, great writing, and I think they're probably better than Nobody Over That. I mean, I'm Looking Through You is one of my favourites. Just something about it The little noodles from Harrison, brilliant acoustic. It's just really...
You Won't See Me is another one. I love You Won't See Me.
Yeah, You Won't See Me, yeah. There's so many great pop songs from the early days of the Beatles. But I get, for me, I'm looking through you, what I love about that is he's singing this pop song and it's sort of upbeat and happy, but then he's also tearing apart Jane Asher at the same time, absolutely destroying her. Character assassination. You loved me when I came down as a pauper from Liverpool and you gave me your little attic and treated me as your little toy you could play with, but then when I got above my station, that was it. I was too... I don't know, I mean, he was just tearing it apart. It was just a complete character assassination, something you don't really see from Paul that much. He shied away from that.
And they sort of frame it into a pop song as well, and anyone that wouldn't have known the sort of background to the lyrics would have just saw it as another pop song, John. But I think that was the sort of the genius of the band, and certainly from Paul and John. John, obviously, Help is probably his example of that.
Yeah.
Where it was a cry for help, as he said in the anthology. You know, he wasn't happy with himself. He wasn't happy with his health, his shape, his eating habits, his sleeping habits, just everything. You know, and it was supposed to be a slow song, but I think Paul and George Martin convinced him to up the tempo on it and make it more poppy, and they did. You know, but. Another great song as well, but it's got a sadness to it.
Done the slow version on the Let It Be, Get Back sessions, didn't he? Yeah. When I was younger, so much younger than today, I never needed anybody's help in any way. Love it. I just love it. Sexy Sadie. He kind of shat out of that one. That was obviously an attack on the Maharishi. And what have you done? You've made a fool of everyone. But that's John. John, I mean, he'd assassinate characters openly, but sometimes he'd hold back. But Stephen, I was going to do this, but this is going to get done for another day, definitely. This was what I had in mind, but we've just not got the time, sadly. This would be a real fucking tough one. I tell you, a tier maker, all the Beatles songs, where would you rank them? Order as well. One has to be number one, or at least joint. Okay. Now that's a video for another day we have to delve into.
That's a 3-hour job.
That's a 3-hour job. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But we shall move on, Stephen, very, very quickly to this other topic before we round it up. Topic number 3. I mean, it is after 12 a.m. here. A new dawn in Bollywood, I've said question mark. And I searched up Indian movie news to see if there was anything going on. And to be honest with you, this caught my eye because it's something we've been talking about for a long, long time. We love Indian cinema. We've sort of, I don't know, sang its praises for a long, long time. Certainly the Bollywood stuff has been more in the forefront of Western minds than the likes of Collywood and Tollywood and the Malayalam movies, Sandalwood.
Which is funny because when we started this journey 5 years ago, John, Bollywood was one of the last studios that we actually dabbled with. Yeah. We were getting right into the sort of Southern Indian.
Yeah, you're right, because we did KGF, didn't we? And that was Collywood.
Pan, wasn't it? Was it Pan? No, I don't know. Can't remember.
What was that?
Was it Pan Indian?
KGF was Pan Indian, but it was Telugu, wasn't it? It was a Telugu South Indian film that just so happened to reach the entire Indian audience. But we then went to Dangal and Padmavat, and they're definitely Bollywood. They're up north because it's Shahid Kapoor and obviously Amir Khan. But Stephen, this is delving into the whole sort of issue with female-led movies and just the role of actresses and women in Indian cinema, and how they're now beginning a new wave of female-centred Indian films are now challenging the roles of traditional Bollywood heroines. Stephen, I find this interesting because we've spoke about this many times watching films. Some brilliant actresses, certainly the south of India, and it's not a fault of Talapathy and guys like that. They're the leads, and that's just the way it is. But the likes of Trisha Krishnan and Pooja Hedge and Samantha, brilliant actors with great range. We've seen them acting. They go into these movies and they just get relegated to romantic side plots, and they don't have any impact on the film whatsoever. They're there to be saved. They're like the Princess Peach, but of Indian cinema, where they need somebody to save them.
Yeah, I think we've been very vocal on this, haven't we?
Yeah.
You know, over the past few years in terms of it. You know, they're missing a trick. The way they utilise certain Indian actors or actresses, as it used to be. But watching Lapata Ladies, I think that's probably the one that really stands out in my head. You know, as a all. I know it wasn't an all female led
They
cast,
were the
but
lead.
definitely from you know the sort of prominence of the main actors in it. The main characters were female led, and I thought it was an amazing film, a fantastic film. But I mean, we're still going on this journey, so we can't say there's not enough of them. But if this article saying there isn't, then we've got to go with that. But certainly, that's the one that stands out in my mind. Certainly, I would like to see more films like that, and certainly more films with those actors, because I think that was a great example of a female-led cast.
Yeah, I mean, you've got, like you said, the Pika Padikone. I'm blanking on her name, but she was in, God, what was it called again?
Yeah, hi.
I can't remember. Ad Hadun. Was that the name of that movie? And Haddon. Taboo.
Yeah.
If your actresses like that, obviously Made in Heaven, the leading actress in Made in Heaven's a fantastic actress. She got a chance to really delve into that character and deliver something special. There's so many great actresses. The one that was in Triple R.
Yeah.
And obviously appeared in the gangster kind of film and get a lead role,
Pooja
but then it
Hedge.
kind of flopped. Was that Pooja?
Was Pooja Hedge not in Triple R? I can't remember.
I don't know if it was. But am I thinking about the same film?
Very
Maybe.
minimalised part, wasn't it?
Yeah. But they underutilise them, but there's so many great actors there. And it's get off.
John, I think when we were watching the Tiger trilogy, I think, is it Katrina Kaif was in that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Her character, I think, we were concerned that we're going to do the character dirty by, I think, the third film, that she was going to become some sort of side issue, which she hadn't been in the previous two films. I think it might have been Tiger 3. I think, if I'm misremembering, correct me, but we were concerned because we really liked that character and we thought her character and the chemistry she had with the main character, I just felt they better not do this, you know, and I think that's, I'm pretty sure it was Katrina Kaif's character.
It was Katrina, yeah.
In the Tiger series.
But yeah, I mean, Stephen, it's a positive. Obviously, you've got a dodgy side of it where it could be seen as being forced diverse. I mean, I don't see that at all. I think there's definitely a lot of great actresses over in India that deserve to get a chance to shine in roles specifically for women and not being relegated to sort of side characters that are not really important to the story. The actress that was in Animal as well, I forget her name. There's so many great actresses. She was fucking incredible as well. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that was, yeah. It's funny that I normally rhyme like actors like that off.
But she was tremendous, and she offered real weight to the Ranbir Kapoor character, and obviously his actions in the movie. Rashmika Mandanna, yeah, that's the one, yeah. She offered so much weight, provided so much weight to that movie because of the interactions with Ranbir's character. And the sort of ramifications of his actions and the arguments. Some of the best scenes in that movie involved her and him arguing and the personal conflict that was being created with his obsession with his father and the violence he was bringing into their lives. And obviously, I think he was cheating at one point as well, wasn't he? So there's definitely scope there to do something special. There's enough great talent over there that, I mean, that sounds so condescending. There wouldn't be great talent. I mean, there's great acting talent.
I think if anyone's watched their channel over the past 5 years, they'll know that you know, we're always rooting for specific actors. It doesn't matter if they're male or female. You know, if they gel with the audience, that's all that matters. And Samantha was one of the ones that we knew had great chemistry, but was always sidelined. And it wasn't until her appearance in The Family Man.
Season 2.
And we were so excited to see her in it as well, because we knew that she would be able to, you know, be a great... I see her as a tragic character in The Family Man rather than an out-and-out villain. But I think it proves the point, you know, that if the person has got the acting capabilities and the charisma and the presence and they can work, you know, with other actors and have great chemistry with them, then it doesn't really matter what sex they are. And we've seen that with Samantha, because I think she was one of the best things about The Family Man Season 2. You know, and we knew that. We knew how good she was. We knew how good she was from the previous films that we've seen her in. And we just felt, again, you know, another... They might say it's a leading actress or a leading female in the role, but they're never treated like a leading character.
Yeah.
They're always a sideline to the main character. And as you said, it's not really the lead male actor's fault. It's not their decision how the story pans out or how, you know, the other actors are utilised. But you always see that potential, and there probably is a bit of bias in the filmmakers in terms of how they prioritise the actors and the importance of them in the story. And it's good to see that, you know, we're seeing films like La Part of Ladies, which I thought was one of the best films I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it was great.
I can't remember what we rated it, but we did rate it very highly.
Yeah, I think we rated it
Anna
really
might have recommended that one to us.
Yeah. Oh, it was. That was a brilliant film. And even that story was about empowering like young women, showing them, look, you can go off on your own path. You don't have to accept this life of servitude and being married to some shit kicker.
What I liked about it was done in a way that wasn't downtrodden males or anything like that. This is the thing about the West and their message. I'm all for empowering all walks of life, but don't do it as a consequence to others, if you know what I mean. It's something that the Western studios always fall foul of having to do. They have to downtrod the males to build up the females, or whatever it may be, and that doesn't have to be the way. You look at a film like La Part of Ladies, where it was standing on your own 2 feet and you know, just having that strength, you know, to carry your life forward in the way you want it to go. Not blaming anyone, because I didn't see any finger pointing or blame. It was a societal thing. It wasn't an individual's fault. But it was just some of the speeches in that film are fantastic. That lady at the train station, she was one of the best characters I've seen. I bet one of the best written characters I've seen in Indian cinema.
No, Stan, it was a brilliant film. And again, it's an important message because, like they say here, in India, a lot of I don't want to speak for Indian people. I mean, I'm fucking not from India, but it's not me saying it. They're literally saying it here. The depiction of both male and female characters on screen is important because in India, where families and schools rarely teach about sex education and consent, all our responses are influenced by basically art, books and cinema. So if you're portraying women as this sort of demure, subservient figure to a sort of imposing, powerful guy, then that's something that's going to have a lasting impact on the psyche and sort of minds of younger people coming up. So if you can shift that vision and present women as this sort of independent, strong presence in life, then that can only be, I don't know, a good thing for younger society. It's going to empower people coming up to be perhaps more independent, grab the bull by the horns. It's just it'll improve society. At the end of the day, we had this, I don't want to talk out of turn, but you think of the golden era of cinema in the West, and it was very much the same thing. You had these sort of, what would you call it? Femme fatale, not femme fatale, but it's almost like fucking Mickey and you know what I'm talking about? Like the female equivalent of like fucking, not Mickey Mouse, but the other fucker, Bugs Bunny. The female equivalent of that. That was like the cartoon version, where it was like this sort of secondary version of the male character and it had all these sort of feminine traits, but it was always less than. If we moved away from that as the 70s and the 80s and all these independent great filmmakers sprouted up like Spielberg and Kubrick and people like that. Kubrick was out before that, but...
Yeah, John, sometimes, you know, you're right, and I know what you're trying to say here, but I know, you know, this coming from a couple of Scottish guys in the West, that, you know, it's something that we shouldn't probably say. It's something that has to be addressed within, you know, the subcontinent. But how many times have you watched an Indian film and it's pissed you off when they do that? They portray the man as the macho chauvinist, and the women in it are just serving the man. You know, they're just making their meals and they're always downtrodden and stuff like that. It's a frustrating thing to see from someone from the West because we live in different societies, you know, and we're certainly not on this channel to tell people how it should be. You know, that's not how it works. But it does take a little bit of getting used to when you're watching cinema from different parts of the world, and you know, you see how society works in different countries, and sometimes it works better than what we've got, sometimes it doesn't. But I suppose that's just all part of human learning, I suppose, and that evolution.
You could, people from these countries and different parts of the world could look at the Western sort of culture and say, state of usually became this sort of paganistic culture where you objectify, or not objectify, but you worship sort of materialistic stuff. You've lost touch with spirituality and things like that, and you've lost any sense of sort of respect and class and dignity. You're walking about half naked, you're showing all this stuff on TV and movies. You've lost touch with what your sort of values were 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago. So you can certainly turn it the other way and say, look, I want to represent the women in a sort of pure state, if you like, where they aren't these sort of, how shall I put it without offending people? They're not, I can't think of the word, I'm not even going to say it, it's too late and I've been drinking. But yeah, I mean, they can certainly skew it. I'm trying to use my words very carefully here. I'm thinking of certain individuals who are on social media doing certain acts on video, absolute vile fuckers from Derby or something, certain individual, just the worst of modern day sort of independent femininity. That's the complete opposite. You don't want to go there either. You want to strike a balance, you want to empower women and show them in the best light possible, and you want to give great actors the chance to show their talents and not have them being reserved to side roles and romantic subplots and a greater story. Stephen, I don't agree with the animal stuff. I never did agree with that, being accused of misogyny and objectifying women. I just do not see that with that film, and I know we had a lot of comments saying that it was.
That particular character is, he's an animal.
He is an animal, yeah.
It's perception on the viewer. We all can perceive this guy in a different way. I saw him with a bit of a fucking dick, to be honest.
Yeah, he was.
He's just a fucking dick, you know. And he wasn't supposed to be a likeable hero or anything like that. He had his flaws, he had his faults. He had some chauvinistic tendencies, he had some bullying tendencies, you know, but that's what made the character watchable, because it wasn't something that wasn't unbelievable. There's people out there like that, you know. And we talked about this with Anna Mia in terms of the boyfriends in La Pata Ladies as well. She said that she's experienced guys like that, you know, and that's real life, you know. That is real life, whether you like it or not. That happens in life. And I think in terms of the animal example, John, I didn't really take that as an offensive film in any sense, that the way that it was getting portrayed in the media or anything like that. I thought it was a really good film.
No, I thought it was showcasing.
It didn't dress him up anything other than what you saw on this, you know, the film, as a man with many flaws, and certainly had daddy issues as well. You know, so.
He was a deeply selfish and violent man, and it showed you the dangers of toxic masculinity. When you're sort of self-obsessed and you just take everything in your personal life and life in general for granted, and you become obsessive with this sort of vision of power, what you view to be a masculine, powerful masculine figure, i.e. his father, and you do everything to try and appease him and become him. And ultimately at the end he's left with nothing. His father's dying, the guy he hero worship's not going to be there, and his wife and his kid are not going to be in his life either, because he's completely alienated them. So he's left a broken shell of a man at the end of the movie. How you can say that's glorifying, I mean, just because he's attacking and being a bit of a dick towards his wife in the film, that's not misogyny, that's just a broken man, a human being with faults, falling into a sort of pitfall, a trap in life, not seeing the error of his ways. He's left with fuck all at the end, nothing.
It was a very good character study for the main character, John, that we got to see the sort of ins and outs of his workings in terms of his mental health, his physical health as well took a beating in that film, as I recall.
Yeah, he was deaf, wasn't he?
Yeah. And I mean, you saw the sort of detail get into it. It was a very good character study, and it wasn't just a two-dimensional chauvinistic bully that you saw on screen. There was definitely reasons for the way he was. Whether they're justified or not, it's another thing. I suppose that's up for debate. But yeah, I mean, it really just depends on how well characters are written and how well it's executed on film as well. I thought it was a great example. Some really good acting as well. A very strong cast.
No, but I think overall, man, I mean, I agree with everything you've said here. I think overall it's very important that young actresses get the opportunity to have their full sort of potential realised in their career, that they don't just settle for being this lesser element to a film, that they have their own stories that reflect their experiences in life and other women in India's experience in life, the sort of hardship, the violence towards them, sort of misogyny. Because we've all seen the story, Stephen. It's not something that's just relevant to India, but it's a real problem with society in general, the way that women are treated. But guys can be absolute bastards at times and vile, horrible, just animals, for lack of a better word. And we've seen this over here, off-duty police officers strangling and killing young women out in the street. We've also seen the stories from India where people are getting impaled on buses and sexually assaulted and killed. I mean, I seen a story recently, a year ago, northeast of India. I think there was a real outbreak in sort of religious undertones, and they kidnapped a young woman and killed her, raped her and killed her. So there is a real issue in society in general. Certainly there's an issue in India at times with the way that women are treated. Talapathy did a brilliant scene in Master that got cut out, but he's very vocal with these societal issues. So anything that can be done to try and educate and open the minds up of more people, and certainly when you're talking about art and music and books and film, TV shows, that's where a lot of people are influenced. If you can do that by telling great, authentic stories by brilliant actors, women actors, fucking great. That's the kind of evolution you want to see in cinema. So I thought that was very interesting. It's good to see there is this sort of movement, sort of kind of revolution happening in Bollywood. Hopefully it'll trickle down into the other regions in India, and we get these great actresses like Samantha and Trisha Krishnan and people like that getting brilliant roles.
Trisha and Leo, John, we watched Leo last year, and it was a good film. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great action film, but I knew the minute, I didn't know she was in it till we watched it. I knew that Sanjay Dutt was in it in Telepathy VJ, but when she came on screen, I went, oh no, they're going to do her dirty. I know they're going to do her dirty. And we've seen her in, was it 96?
Brilliant, yeah.
Incredible film with Seti Pathy. I thought it was an incredible film. Sharing the screen time, that's another good example of utilising actors in a film with sort of shared responsibilities from the female point of view and the male point of view. Incredible acting, incredible chemistry. But it doesn't have to always be romantic films that females have to be empowered. Let's have an action film, you know, an all-star female action film from India. I'd love to see that.
Yeah. I just want to see real stories.
We've seen the likes of Samantha can do it. We've seen the likes of Katrina Kaif doing it.
I mean, there's got to be real figures in history who have been women who have done incredible acts, and you can tell their story. We've already seen it. It was a political thing, wasn't there, with Prime Minister, I think, or some sort of leader. I forget what the story was. We reacted to the trailer, never did watch it, but she was this sort of controversial figure who obviously held some sort of office of power in India. And that looked like the kind of story that we're talking about, where you're getting a biopic of this powerful female figure played by a great actor. So I just want to see authentic stories. I'd be up for watching that. And Lapata Ladies is an excellent example of that, where you've got this sort of fresh take, where instead of them being the sort of damsel in distress, they get on their own 2 feet and grab a hold of a situation and grow from it.
Your mum liked that film, didn't she?
She did, yeah. Thought it was brilliant. Yeah, I'm always recommending Indian cinema and TV shows because they get done dirty over here. There's a lot of love for Korean stuff over here, rightly, because it's brilliant, but there's still this sort of snobbery, certainly in Britain, with regards to Indian content, where they think it's substandard, it's not as good. And it's an absolute nonsense. Some of the best stuff I've seen, certainly TV, has come from India. Sacred Games, Harshad Mehta Story Scam 1992, Gangs of Wasseypur. There's so many. Mirzapur, all the sort of fucking Viral Fever, Quota Factory, Panchayat. aspirants, just unbelievable. Shows, even the film, the one with your man from Mirzapur, where he studied and he passed the test. What was the name of that film? I'm blanking on it. It got removed from our channel for some fucking reason. We get a strike for it.
Oh, I can't remember.
One of the best fucking movies I've seen in a long, long time. I'll try and find it before we go because I want to give it its flowers again. Bablu, what's your name, my man? What's your name? Vikrant Massey, film is 12 fail. Unbelievable film.
Very emotional film, John.
Right really, up there with anything you'll see on the planet. In terms of quality.
It's a shame that people can't see that one. You know, we got a strike on the channel for that last year or 2 years ago, whenever it was. And it was such a great film to watch, and it was a great reaction as well. I think both of us quite affected by it because it was just incredible acting. Incredible.
It wasn't just Vikrant, it was the whole cast.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
It was just
really
a
good.
Brilliant human story about indefatigability and not giving up and realising your dream. That's something you need to present in a world that is fucking grim at times. Grim. But let's go round it up, man. What was your thoughts on the topics we discussed? GTA 6 being delayed for an entire calendar year. They've gave their reasons. Do you agree with them? Could it be a positive? Share your thoughts down below about GTA 6. Thoughts on the scientific data proving the Beatles' perfect pop song. Do you think Obadi Obada is the perfect pop song? The perfect Beatles pop song? Can you name other ones? I certainly can. I'm looking through you. Right off the top of my head, I saw her standing there. I'll follow the sun. There's so many Beatles pop songs.
Real Love.
Exactly. Fucking great songs. That are better than... I like Obadi Obada, but it's not the perfect one. Come on, behave yourself. But scientific proof, whatever the fuck that means. Share your thoughts on that. Thoughts on the new sort of female-driven movement in Bollywood where you're seeing actors of the female gender, I'm not wading into that debate, taking a hold of things and delivering great stories and performances. Share your thoughts about that. Anything at all you want to share down below in the comments section. Like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to get notifications straight to your eyes for future content like this. Same thing over on Twitch, follow button, notifications button over there to see us live on a different platform. And also have to be said is until the next time, thank you once again for watching us, and bye-bye. Didn't work. You know why it didn't work? I'm in the wrong screen. There you go, guys. Bye-bye.